Early in the morning, Henry was getting ready for work. He made himself some coffee and turned on television. A news channel announcer appeared on the screen. Alain Ricasse, a famous chief from France, had organized a tour of America, during which he planned to find the most talented cooks to participate in his television show. The grand prize announced by Ricasse personally is $1 million. The world-famous chief also noted that the winner can work in one of his restaurants in any country. And now for other news. Somebody's going to be lucky, Henry thought as he turned on the TV and left the apartment. At the restaurant where Henry worked as a chief, the man thought about what he had heard on the news. Alain Ricasse was to him the god of cooking. No, he was even more than a god. He had an extraordinary personality, incredible charisma, and unconditional culinary talent. Alain Ricasse owned the most famous restaurants with several dozen Michelin stars. I would be honored to learn from such a master of haute cuisine, thought Henry. But the chances of Ricasse himself coming to their small provincial town were slim to none. And what will he do here? There was only one restaurant in the town where Henry lived, the same one where he worked. Only the wealthy frequented the place. Those who didn't have their wallets stuffed with cash contented themselves with food from small cafes and fast food joints. By the time he was 35, Henry had milked a lot of money by the standards of a small provincial town. As a young man, he took a chief's course and enrolled in a prestigious school in another state. Having received knowledge and diploma, he returned home. But as it turned out, with his high qualifications, getting a job as a restaurant chief here was impossible. And not because of high competition. There were no restaurants in the city. But one day, Henry got a call from a cafe owner. "Hello? You recommended me as a great chief. Can we meet?" asked the owner, who introduced himself as a David Cooper. "Sure." Henry agreed, wondering what the conversation will be about. At the appointed hour, the man entered the cafe. He looked around and there was almost no one at the tables. Strange. Downtown, evening, and no people in the place, Henry thought. An obliging receptionist approached him and asked, "Would you like to have dinner?" No, I'm sorry. I have an appointment with David Cooper," Henry told him. "Yes, I've been notified. Please come in," the desk clerk told him, ushering him to a corner table. David didn't wait long. Sitting at the table across from Henry, he interestedly eyed the chief. "A good friend recommended you as an excellent chief," he said. "I'll be glad to help, but I don't see how it can be of any use to you," Henry said. "Look around you. Tell me, why don't people come to my cafe? When I bought it, it was always full. It was impossible to find a free table, and now..." Henry found the cafe owner's question odd. David looked like a well-to-do, self-assured man. Why will he turn to a young chief? But after a moment, Henry continued the conversation without asking too many questions. "Could I have a menu?" he asked the owner. The man gestured the waiter, who obligingly placed the menu on the table. It consisted of many pages that Henry didn't want to study. He tumbled through the menu, realizing that it will take a long time to choose the dishes, and asked David, "What do you usually order at your place?" Henry, I don't usually dine here." "Really? Why not?" David frowned, and Henry didn't wait for his answer. "I see." He put the menu aside. "Then let's do it this way. Call your chief and have him suggest dishes he thinks are worthy. What do you think?" David was sullen for a moment, looking at Henry carefully. The cafe owner wasn't sure Henry's idea was what was needed. He expected the boy to give a concrete answer to his question. Why are there no customers in there? But he was not in a hurry to answer. The chief was a chibi man with indifferent grey cold eyes. Henry immediately noticed his unkempt appearance. Ring, worn chief's tunic and stubby slippers. "You'll have to have no self-respect to cook in such clothes," The guy marveled. I'm the chief. My name is Tom. The man introduced himself. Hello, chief. Offer us your most delicious dishes. Your master and I decided to have dinner, Henry said to the chief. We have excellent burgers. Henry didn't see any enthusiasm in the cook's words. That's it? The owner asked in a disgruntled tone. Why, we've got Waldorf salad, mac and cheese, buffalo wings, and you can have apple pie for dessert. Thank you, Henry said. Bring it all to us when it's ready, please. The chief laughed. After giving him a disgruntled look, David turned to Henry. I wanted to fire him for a long time, but can't find a replacement. What's wrong with him? He is an asshole. I've never seen him cook, but he's constantly chewing on something when I go into the kitchen. I don't think he's the chief. I think he's my restaurant's food destroying machine. Henry smiled, didn't say anything. He wanted to taste what the guests were being fed, but the dishes were still coming. Does it always take this long time to cook? How many people are in the kitchen? He asked the owner of the cafe. There are more of them than there are mice in the pantry, David exclaimed. I'm going to hurry those lazy bums up. Don't. Henry stopped him when he saw the waiter was already bringing them several plates on a tray. David looked annoyed. He watched Henry taste the salad, chicken wings, mac and cheese, waiting for his verdict, but he was in no hurry. Well, is it okay to serve this to people? Asked the owner impatiently. You can, Henry smiled. If those people have never eaten regular food in their lives. Look, you could use the cheapest cheese, here in the Waldorf salad by cutting sweet apples instead of sour ones. And I don't smell any garlic or Tabasco in the wings. I'm sorry, but I won't try the apple pie. It's extraordinary and unappetizing. Listen, Henry, I want to offer you jobs on my place. If you make it profitable in 3 months and get customers and people to price your cooking, I'll make you chief with an excellent salary. How would you like that? You see, David, Henry answered after some thought. It's easy to teach cooks how to cook. Even bears in the circus learn to ride a bicycle. It's more important to change the concept of a place. What do you mean? If you trust me, I will turn your unprofitable cafe into the best restaurant in town. A restaurant? The people of our town will not go to a restaurant for lunch and dinner. They are more used to burgers, pasta, and buns with broth, but you want to offer gourmet food. I want people to like it. I want them to leave and want to come back again, Henry said confidently, and a twinkle of excitement flickering his eyes. Okay, David agreed. It can't get any worse than this. I will go along with your experiment. So Henry became the chief of a restaurant in the center of a small provincial town. He not only changed the sign and interior of the restaurant, but also brought order to the kitchen. Now, the cooks knew their place. Henry divided the hot and cold departments, hired the pastor chief for desserts, and sent the old chief, Tom, to peel vegetables. Puff up turkey, Tom grumbled, angry that he was no longer allowed to cook. I'm going to make him cry. The former chief was often a nuisance, but Henry was always there for him. The staff marveled at how he managed to control all the processes in the kitchen. The lazy workers looked at the new chief with distrust and fear, even fear of him, because Henry introduced a system of fines. And now, everyone risked his salary. However, most staff came to respect the new chief when the establishment profited. David was glad he had avoided making a mistake when he hired Henry. Guests began to come to the restaurant, and waiters were no longer bored in the back room, but scurried back and forth between tables, serving the food. When they left, the customers thanked him for the delicious food and pleasant atmosphere. Only Tom was dissatisfied. He was still not allowed to prepare the food, which hurt the man's ego. That afternoon, Henry announced to his team of cooks, "My friends, have you heard the news? Alain Ricas himself is coming to town. You can leave that out. No, Chief, anonymously replied the restaurant kitchen staff, who often watched TV shows of the famous cook. I dare not hope this great man will come to our restaurant, but we must be ready for his appearance. So, let's prepare ourselves 100% today. Let's go to work, friends. But on this day, the famous cook, Alain Ricas, did not show up at Henry's restaurant. Presumptuous fool. How could I have thought that Ricas himself would come to dine at our restaurant? Henry thought as he arrived at work the next day. By lunchtime, guests started arriving at the restaurant. Chief, we have a special guest, said the waiter as he looked into the kitchen, where the cooks were already demanded at work. The mayor himself and his family. What did they order? Henry asked. Cobb salad, clam chowder, lobster rolls, and the mayor's kids wanted the brownies for dessert. Great. Kitchen, let's go to work. Henry nodded his head. He decided to cook the lobster himself. The chief rinsed the clams and put them on the boil. The kitchen was bustling with work. Everyone was busy doing their own thing. Only Tom was absent. He's chilling somewhere again, Henry thought terribly. The man grabbed a dumpster and headed toward the backyard exit to throw out the waste. Tom was responsible for that, but it was easier for Henry to take the bucket out himself than to look for that bomb. Thinking he was going to fire Tom this time, the chief opened the back door and stepped outside, nearly pushing the dirty bomb out of the way. The hobo had a massive bruise under his eye, and the sleeve of his dirt-stained jacket was dangling from a small piece of cloth. What are you doing here, buddy? Henry asked the homeless man. Excuse me, could you get me some food? I haven't eaten anything today, the red dirty hobo told him. And what would you like to eat at this hour of the day? Henry asked with a chuckle, thinking the man was too polite for a hobo. Actually, I would like some hot clam chowder. You know, its creamy consistency is very tender and the cubes of young potatoes melt in your mouth. And be sure to have fresh celery. Finally this, it will be an excellent lunch. The homeless man even rolled his eyes to the sky, as if imagining the taste of aromatic soup with seafood. Oh, you're a gourmet, laughed Henry. I am allowed to eat good food, said the homeless man proudly. Where do you get your stomach so spoiled? Henry found it amusing to discuss restaurant food with a street hobo. In the finest restaurants in the world. Without hesitation, the hobo answered him. Henry had never laughed so hard before. Talking to this man made him laugh more and more. Well, come with me, said the chief, gesturing for the homeless man to follow him. Henry led the tramp into the back room. Against the walls were a rack of neatly arranged vegetables waiting for their time. Sit here, my friend. Henry pointed to a chair and returned to the kitchen. He had seen homeless people rummaging through the trash container in the back of the restaurant for food, but this one was nothing like them. Henry even thought the homeless man was a good actor. With confidence and knowledge, he reasoned about the clam chowder, just like a real connoisseur. Michael, do you have the clam chowder ready? Henry asked the chief, who was stirring the pot with a spoon. Just a minute, chief, he said. Make a new one for your mayor, and give this one to me, Henry ordered the cook. But that will take a long time, chief. The kitchen ward tried to object. It's all right. It will wait. Henry took a bowl of soup and spoon and a piece of brownie, featuring the homeless man wouldn't mind dessert. The homeless man ate happily, prizing the soup's flavor, and when he was done, he started on the dessert. Maybe some coffee? Henry smiled slightly. Thank you, I wouldn't say no, the tramp replied politely. The chief looked out the door and called for the waitress, asking her to bring coffee. The waitress was surprised to see the dirty, tattered homeless man in the back of the restaurant. She immediately spread the shocking news around the restaurant. You wouldn't believe it. In the back room, the chief is feeding some ragamuffin from the street, she said to the cooks in the kitchen, with her eyes bugging. So that's how he took the dishes prepared for the mayor's family too, marveled Michael. He's crazy. That's what I've always said. Tom, who had appeared out of nowhere, chimed in. He reported this outrageous act to David Cooper, the place's owner. It was time to take revenge on the new chief. After seeing the well-fed and content tramp off, Henry continued his business, ignoring Tom's smirk and leer. He was already anticipating what the place owner will do to the chief. Half an hour later, the restaurant owner reprimands Henry in front of the staff. What do you think you're doing, Henry? You've got a lot of nerve. Not only did you bring a dirty homeless man from the street into my luxurious restaurant, but you decided to serve this homeless man dishes that were prepared for the mayor of the city. David Cooper didn't even give Henry a chance to defend himself. He was yelling, cursing, shaking his fists, and spitting saliva at Henry. I will not tolerate this kind of behavior in my restaurant. You're fired, Henry. Get out now, and don't show up again. The kitchen staff watched in silence, and Tom smiled, satisfied that he could gotten his revenge on the chief, who made him peel vegetables every day instead of bossing the stuff around. Henry had never experienced such shame throughout his life and professional career. Returning home, he thought he would not have to look for a job. The man spent the rest of the day looking at job ads, but all he could find in his town was a position as a cook in a fast food joints or small cafes that made disgusting food. The next day, Henry set out to visit his parents. They lived in another town, missed their son, and often called to see him. Well, I will go and get some rest, he thought as he packed his traveling bag. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Who's there? Henry thought and went to the open door. What he saw in front of him shocked the man. Television crews with cameras were on the doorstep, and standing right in front of Henry was Alan Rakus, the world-famous chief and owner of the best restaurants in the world. Henry stared at his face in silence. There was a poorly disguised bruise under his eye. My gosh, that's the same homeless guy who made me lose my job. It can be, Henry thought. Friends, said Alan Rakus in a low voice, today I want to introduce you to a wonderful man and chief. The other day, I got into a bit of mess. I was attacked by robbers and beaten right on the street. Luckily, I was near where this wonderful man named Henry worked. Get him on your cameras and let the world know about him. Henry stood in front of Alan with his mouth hanging open. He couldn't believe his eyes and ears, thinking he was dreaming and couldn't wake up. The man blinked his eyes confusedly. Are you going to invite us in, Henry? I have an excellent offer for you. Alan Rakus asked with a smile. The famous chief walked into the apartment, and the journalist followed him, continued to film the confused Henry and the star of the culinary world. I want to invite Henry to work in any of my restaurants today. Henry's legs gave out, and he sat on the couch looking at Alan like God. I also want to deviate from the rules of my television cooking show. You all know that I'm on a trip around the cities, looking for contents for it. Well, I have not found the contents, but I have found a winner. Therefore, Chief Henry gets $1 million. Alan Rakus handed the dumbfounded Henry a gold-colored plastic card and extended his hand for a handshake. Thank you, my friend. You are a true professional and a very kind man. A happy smile appeared on Henry's face, the famous chief himself shaking his hand. The staff watched the news on the big TV in the restaurant, where Henry had been dishonorably fired yesterday. The owner's eye twitched nervously, and Tom's face twisted with anger, envy, rage, and jealousy.